and that trauma isn't necessarily about the event itself, it's about the effects that you're left with.
Yes.
I think it's the book The Body Keeps the Score, where they talk
Yes.
about a
Mm-hmm.
couple that were in a car accident, and the man's, like, it was a husband and wife, and
Yes.
the man's, his behavior and the way he dealt with the trauma of that accident was very different than his wife's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, it affected her in a much different way than it did him. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, they were in the same accident,
Yes.
they
Yep.
experienced the same thing, but it stayed in her body differently than it stayed
Mm-hmm.
in his. And
Yes.
yeah, I think that we cannot compare. So, like, if somebody says, I'm upset about this, to say to them, it could be worse, or to say, well, at least you're not so and so because they went
Mm-hmm.
through this. Again, you're
Yeah.
discounting someone's
Yes.
experience, and
Yes.
they're being vulnerable, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
they need
Yeah.
support, and it's not
Yes.
up to us to decide
Yes.
the level of hurt that exists inside of them.
Welcome to the Just Keep Showing Up podcast, a show designed to remind us all that sometimes the hardest part is just, well, showing up. I'm your host, Derek Michael Williams, and in each episode, we explore stories, insights, and a little motivation to help you stay the course, even on the tough days. So, whether you're here for inspiration, a gentle nudge, you're in the right place. Let's keep showing up together. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Just Keep Showing Up podcast. I'm your host, Derek Williams, and today I have the pleasure of speaking to Erica. Erica, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm very excited to talk to you. We've had a few opportunities to talk
Yep.
prior to this, just having normal adult conversations. And as things have happened to me in the past, I'll have a conversation with someone, and I'm like, man, it would be perfect to come on a show and talk about why they, what they do for themselves to continue to show up. And you were once, one of those people just hearing you just talk. And I think just the vulnerability that you were sharing just in those conversations. I'm gonna pass it to you, and just I like to start off with asking the guests to share a little something about themselves, just so people that's listening to the show they know who's talking to them. So whatever you want to share, there's no wrong answers, and I'm passing it to you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Erica, and thank you so much for having me. I appreciate what you said about my vulnerability. That's something that I take a lot of pride in, and just sort of being an open book and willing to, share my story and the things that I've experienced, because I feel like a lot of people feel alone in what they're going through. And sometimes just having that conversation, like, I think you and I have some things in common. Mariella and I have things in common. There's lots of people that you don't think that you might have things in common with, but you do.
Hmm.
But I am 44. I am divorced. I will be almost 5 years out of my marriage come January, and I have two kids, 9 and 12. And we live here in Silver Spring, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C.
Hmm.
And you know, I like to power lift. I like to go out with my friends when I have the opportunities to.
Hmm.
And yeah, and then I guess just about me, I would say that I'm pretty authentic and genuine. So you're going to get, true face value with me. People know how I feel. I've got one of those faces that don't hide don't hide what I'm feeling. So,
Yes. Okay. All right. Well,
okay.
thank you for sharing that and sharing a little bit about yourself. Two kids. Yes, I also have two kiddos. And I also have traveled the divorce route. It's just like a
Hmm.
pivot in life, uh,
Yes, a
which we
big
both
one.
can share. It's not an easy thing, but it is a thing. So
Yes.
but yeah, but this is the Just Keep Showing Up podcast, like the little things behind me says. It's so cool. I think I have that little
That is.
so yeah, so I just want to start off by, I mean, we've had opportunities to talk. But just start off the conversation, like, what do you do for yourself to continue to show up?
Yeah, so right now I would say, and really for a long time now, the biggest thing that I've been doing is working on my mindset. Um, I've spent a lot of time in therapy and working through a lot of past traumas.
Hmm.
And I'm kind of at a space right now that I think I've addressed a lot of the whys of my life. And
Hmm.
now I'm entering into the space of now, how do I change these behaviors I adopted
Yes.
from all of those experiences?
Yeah.
So things that I do to, really show up for myself recently. I've started like a gratitude habit of, every day just writing down 5 things I'm grateful for. They
Hmm.
can be absolutely, I'm thankful for my house, I'm thankful for my dog, I'm thankful for this
Hmm.
cup of coffee, or it can be I'm thankful for this new job opportunity. I'm
Hmm.
thankful that my body is strong. Like
Yes. Very
whatever
strong.
comes to my brain. Thank you.
Yes.
Kind
Yeah.
of whatever it is, there's no agenda behind what you're being grateful for. It's just simply
Hmm.
being able to like be in that moment and find the things in your life that are good, so that I can start focusing on what is good instead of focusing on what is bad,
Yes.
which has definitely been a challenge. Um,
Hmm.
and, doing things to like learning to give myself credit for the things
Hmm.
that I'm doing.
Yes.
I think that I've spent a lot of time kind of always shoulding myself. I should be doing this. I should be doing
Yes.
better. I should be doing more. Uh, and that has really made me discount all of the things that I have
Mm.
gone through and come through
Yes.
and accomplished.
Yes.
So those are some really big things that I'm doing that they're kind of small ways you have to like think about it. You have to stop and check
Yeah.
yourself.
Yes.
Um, and again, look at your day and say, hey, sometimes, giving myself credit for, I got out of bed. I
Hmm.
got out of bed, I put on clothes, I went to work.
Yes. Yes. And it's you shared like some very good things here. Something that you said just now that really, and often I do this, and I've said this on multiple episodes. It's always interesting to me to talk to someone and I hear something that I haven't heard before, and it's extremely insightful. And it was just 2 words you said. It kind of went with the gratitude and the five things, the gratitude habit and finding 5 things. But you said something very interesting. You said no agenda. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're not fishing for something, just kind of naturally letting it flow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like amazing to me because you're kind of allowing life to just, I feel like just allowing a life to flow and not necessarily have an agenda. And to me, when I hear that, I feel like your disappointment isn't attached to it because there isn't an agenda with it, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Uh,
It's trying to remove the judgment from the day to
yes,
day of
yes,
saying doing this or doing that is good or
mm-hmm,
bad. You've let yourself
yes,
down, you failed, and just sort of taking all of that away and just saying, what
mm-hmm,
is good in this present
yes,
moment? What is good?
mm-hmm,
Because
yeah,
all the other stuff, it's never going to go away. There's always
mm-hmm,
going to be something that
yeah,
feels heavy and something that feels like you don't have control over.
yeah,
And I need to be able to take a step back and just
yes.
be in the moment. And in this moment,
Mm-hmm.
my lungs work. In this moment, my eyes work. You know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not
Yeah.
as well as 10 years ago, but
No.
they're
Yeah.
still seeing life.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'll say, I often wonder like why is it so hard? Like, it's so easy for us to see negative things. And I was like, man, why is it that way? And I forget who I was listening to. I don't know if it was a podcast or listening to a book. And someone explained that, if you think about us as humans, and like if you go back to, I don't know if people believe in cavemen, but if you go into their survival times, thinking of a human as an animal and you're just out in the wilderness trying to survive or just out in this area, that being positive is not what's going to keep you alive. You have to be keen on negative things that happen in your life because those negative things that happen, for example, like someone hunting you, you have to like it's just instinctively for us to be on high alert for negative things. So when it comes to positivity, we have to be very deliberate on the
Right.
positive side because that doesn't come natural unless you go through what you're doing now and you're doing exercising it, like you're exercising that muscle, and
Hmm.
before you know it, you're finding gratitude things. And I heard another person say, I forget who the person was. I wish I could give people their street credit. Was saying that they do the gratitude thing, and now as they're going through their day, they're trying to they're finding things to be grateful for. So you kind of
Hmm.
your eyes are kind of open, almost like if you like my daughter just purchased a new car, and when she was thinking about getting a certain car, all of a sudden I start seeing the car everywhere. I think that happens to a lot of people. Like when it's on
Yes,
your mind, you're actually looking for it. For example, if somebody asked you today, okay, well, how many red cars did you drive by? You would have no idea because you wasn't actually looking for it. But if
right.
you was to go to work tomorrow and say, okay, let me see how many red cars I see you're actually looking for. So I think that's really, really, really great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you're spot on, that it's been proven that we have like a brain bias, that, our
Yes.
brains were created to protect us. Like
Yes,
that,
that's it.
that
Yes.
is their function in our
Yes.
world, is to protect
Yes.
us. And so
That's it. Very well said.
yes, it is
Yes.
naturally going to gravitate to the negative.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think one of the really interesting things that have come out about our brains, I feel like semi recently, is just like neuroplasticity, in
Mm-hmm.
that it is like a muscle, that you can create
Yes.
new neural pathways, that
Yes.
your
Mm-hmm.
brain, even though its default might be to negative, and maybe the
Mm-hmm.
trauma you've experienced has made
Yes.
that even stronger, it's worked that muscle, that you really can go in and start to train your brain to see the positive, to
Mm-hmm.
feel the positive. I think a lot of it comes with feeling, and how
Yes.
those neural pathways, like, because your body remembers emotions, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
best way to retrain your brain is to start to focus on the good emotions and the good things. Just like with
Mm-hmm.
seeing the car, it's the same idea of, if you walk out into this world and you think like, oh gosh, everything always works out for me, like that's one of the things I try to say, is like, everything always works out for me.
Mm-hmm.
So if I catch a green light on a day that I'm running
Yeah.
late, I'm like, everything always works out for me. If I catch
Yes.
a parking spot close to where the store that I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to, everything always works out for me.
Yeah.
And this is
Yes.
basic stuff, but it's like you said, building that muscle.
Yeah. And I think uh, with that, it takes vulnerability because there is a part of that where there's a letdown. And I feel for myself when I do that, I rather like enjoy the moment and allow if the letdown comes, well, I'll deal with that when it happens. But I did find like recently I did that and it was a little harder to get over a situation, but at
Mm-hmm.
least I captured that moment of joy, when I was just in my own little world of like, okay, well, I'm hoping this happened. I work towards this. And then I can walk away with thing at peace about it. But just being able to enjoy that moment of like, I got this
Mm-hmm.
green light, Uh,
Yep. Well, I think
yes.
people rob themselves of joy
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit,
And we're all guilty of
because
it. Yes, I
yes,
know I
because
am.
we think forward, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
want to like prepare ourselves, or we want to stay detached from something. Like, I think of it,
Yes.
in dating, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
single. And it's like, when you go and you meet somebody, you
Mm-hmm.
like them, but you don't want to like
Yes.
really like them, because you're like, oh, he's probably going to ghost me. Oh, he's really not that great. Oh, there's these red
Yeah.
flags,
Yes.
because you're trying to protect yourself. Because if you like
Yes.
open up and say like, oh gosh, I really like this person, I hope it works out, and then he
Mm-hmm.
does any of those things, then like you said, there's such a letdown associated
Yes.
with that. And
Mm-hmm.
it feels like it's harder to process because you were detached, but the fact is,
Yes.
you robbed yourself of ever feeling that joy and love in the first
Yes.
place.
Yes. And that goes back to, as you're saying that, it makes me think about, you said you've changed and now you're learning just, like surviving. And what you just explained makes me think about when, like, for example, you come like coming from like humble beginnings, or you come from a community. I can speak for myself. Coming from a community where you kind of sometimes look over your back, or you have to just maneuver differently. Whether you grow up in the suburbs, or you grow up in the inner city, or you grow up in an area where it's just what it is. You have to kind of look over your shoulder, make sure everything's locked, and then you finally get yourself in a position where you're no longer living in that environment, but yet you're still doing those actions because you're still trying to survive as if you're still there, but you're not there anymore. And as you was explaining the dating, it made me think what we really probably something that has to be done is you really have to take each moment for what it is. And that comes with extreme vulnerability. And I think it's also you're putting yourself out there because you have to put your guard down. Because if not, now we're trying to survive this new moment with skills that we developed in the past, you know.
Yeah.
Uh and
Well,
and
you won't,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, you won't really ever get to enjoy that you're not in
Yes.
that place
Mm-hmm.
anymore if
Yeah.
you're constantly doing the
Yes.
behaviors you did when
Mm-hmm.
you were in that place.
Yeah. It's almost like an overcorrection, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
with both of us, like both experiencing divorce. And if you look internal and say, well, I have to fix this, fix that, fix this, well, now you're experiencing life with a different person, and those things that that person you was with previously required or needed from you or whatever that was, you can kind of like take some of those things that you may want to change in yourself, but you can't just, I feel like for me, you can't just try to, I don't know, course correct because you can overcorrect, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just life isn't easy, and it's, you
Yeah,
know, it's
it's
just
not.
learning to navigate it, you know, and being deliberate. So yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, on the sort of dating or like new partnership topics, one thing
Mm-hmm.
that I've sort of discovered is like we might, leave relationships for X, Y, and Z, and then you move
Mm-hmm.
on to another one. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like you'll be triggered by things that this new person does that maybe your ex did. And then you'll
Mm-hmm.
find out like a whole new set of triggers that live inside you that you didn't even know were there.
Yeah.
And it's just like you just realize like you never stop working to be better.
Hmm.
Like you
Yeah,
have to continuously do the work.
yeah, and it reminds you that we like I hate to say we, I like to say me. I'm responsible for owning the things that trigger me, you know, and learn to
Mm-hmm.
navigate through that space. Because if not, we'd be all over the place. We no longer, we really don't have control. Uh, Something else you said, you mentioned, and I have notes here, so I'm looking down. Giving myself credit for what I'm doing. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is such great advice and it's so important, and it makes me think of how important it is to for me to compare my life to my life, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because we oftentimes, I know I've heard people say, well, things could be worse, and I often say back, well, things could be better, and I don't say that to be like an ass or anything. I say it to help people, to get people to see that, look, that is true, but it's true on both sides. So what's most
Mm-hmm.
important is that person experiencing their life for what it is. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
gratitude in it, and I know the heart behind when a person says that is what they're trying to say, you know, be grateful for where you are. But I think it's so important for us to compare our lives to our lives because it's your life experience. You know, for one person, they may have experienced something that's very terrible, you know, like, I don't know, just say, I don't know, the death of a child or something, something that's just like like one of the most difficult things if you look at humans, the death of a child, and then divorce is like number two for a human to experience. And you have another person say, well, okay, well, their dog passed away, or something that somebody may think is insignificant. Of course, dog is not the thing to use, but I don't know, just something like a cousin, you know, has
Mm-hmm.
passed away. And you got to understand for that person, their experience still can be just as traumatic as the other person, you know. So I think what you're saying is giving myself credit for what I'm doing makes me think, yes, like honoring your life and honoring your experience. And then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, showing yourself grace and kindness. So, yes, I just wanted to
Yeah.
say that with that comment.
Yeah. Well, I really think that there's a lot of people out there that aren't maybe seeking the help that they really need because they
Hmm.
think that their issue doesn't qualify as trauma. And I remember
Gosh, yes, it's
reading
so good.
something about like big T trauma and little t trauma,
Hmm.
and that trauma isn't necessarily about the event itself, it's about the effects that you're left with.
Yes,
I think it's the book The Body Keeps the Score, where they talk
yes.
about a
Hmm.
couple that were in a car accident, and the man's like, it was a husband and wife, and
Yes.
the man's, his behavior and the way he dealt with the trauma of that accident was very different than his wife's.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it affected her in a much different way than it did him. And
Hmm.
it's like they were in the same accident,
Yes.
they
Yep.
experienced the same thing, but it stayed in her body differently than it stayed
Hmm.
in his. And
Yes.
yeah, I think that we cannot compare. So, like, if somebody says, I'm upset about this, to say to them, it could be worse, or to say, well, at least you're not so and so because they went
Hmm.
through this. Again, you're
Yeah.
discounting someone's
Yes.
experience, and
Yes.
they are they are being vulnerable, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
they need
Yeah.
support, and it's not
Yes.
up to us to decide
Yes.
the level of hurt that exists inside of them.
I agree with that. And I again will say I think most people when they say that they're saying it from a good place.
They are.
But it's definitely important to allow that person to process that and for them to just have that experience for themselves, and because it's almost like taking it away. And you also said something that the trauma, because I hadn't heard that it's not necessarily about the trauma, but the effects of the event. That's like so insightful to me.
Hmm.
And that kind of going to the car accident, and it's going to affect everybody differently.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
There was like an experience for me personally that I feel is an example of this is my first son or my first child was born via C-section.
mm-hmm,
And it
yes,
was one of those things that was a very long story, but it wasn't an emergency section. So I was very fortunate in that way. But it was still very traumatizing to me because
mm-hmm,
there was a lot of feeling of failure for me. There was just a physical component. There was a medical system component. There's just all the things like not being able to, like my arms were, not taped down, but they like tie them down when you're in
mm-hmm,
there,
mm-hmm,
and not being able to like hold him after he was born. Like there's just these factors to it that made it feel traumatizing and really upsetting for me. And
mm-hmm,
then when I would express that to people, I got a lot of, but at least the baby's safe. At least the
yeah,
baby's healthy. At least you got a
yeah,
healthy baby. And it was so hurtful because I'm like, well, what about me? Like,
yes,
yes, I have a
yes,
healthy baby. And I acknowledge so many women might walk out of that
yes,
experience not being the case. But like,
mm-hmm,
I'm me and I'm
yes,
hurt. I'm upset.
yes,
I'm
yes,
affected by this so
mm-hmm,
deeply, but there's other women that go have cesareans and they're like, that was great. That was fine.
mm-hmm,
I'm going to have another
yes.
one for my next kid.
Yeah, yes. And that's just a reminder to us that two things can be true. You can have a baby that's
Yes.
nice and healthy, and you can have a very traumatic experience. And you can be very grateful for your child being very healthy and
Mm-hmm.
can also have like this trauma from this experience too. That's two emotions, that's two things that could be, that could
Yes.
be handled. You know what I mean? So it
Yep.
doesn't take the value of one doesn't go away, or shouldn't
Yes.
have to go away.
Yep.
Because that's still processing what you feel,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's
Yeah.
very, very important.
I totally agree. And I think the both things can be true statement
Hmm.
is
Yes.
something that needs to make its way into conversation a little bit more
Yes.
because I think we want to believe that it's either this way or that way,
Hmm.
and both can be true.
Two things can be true. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. That's kind of where all the magic happens anyway, like in the
Mm-hmm.
middle with the
Yep.
art. So yeah.
Yep.
So is there anything else you'd like to share? That maybe we didn't touch on, or no pressure to to say anything, because I have my
I
final
mean,
question that I would ask. Uh,
okay. I mean, I could talk forever. So,
uh-huh. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have anything in particular to
Okay. Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure we
well, my
cover.
okay, yeah, my last question is you were talking, you shared a lot of things. If anything you shared resonates with someone that's listening to the show, like this person, like, man, Erica just touched on so many points that kind of hit home for me. Uh, what advice would you give them, like on your journey, your life journey, and this would be like I'm giving you the Erica, what advice that you would give to that person where everything you said kind of resonated with them, or some of the things you said.
Yeah. I would say to invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that can be different for
Mm-hmm.
everyone. It can be going to therapy. It can be hiring a life coach. It can just
Mm-hmm.
be picking up a book or a podcast about a
Mm-hmm.
topic that you're interested in, or
Yes.
it could be finally going to that yoga class that you always tell
Mm-hmm.
yourself you're going to, but you don't prioritize.
Yes.
Like just just take a look at like where you are and what
Mm-hmm.
feels uncomfortable right now, and start going towards the discomfort so that
Yes.
you can really like work on yourself and like elevate to the next best version of you. But
Yes. Go.
you have to invest in yourself. It's not going to magically happen.
Yes. So investing in yourself, invest in
Hmm.
yourself, and go towards the discomfort. And as you were talking, I was thinking, understanding the value and the power of a step, one
Mm-hmm.
step, like something simple as, hey, I want to be a power lifter. He's like, I don't know if I can do it or not. Okay, well, just go to the gym, open the door. And if you decide that the door, this isn't for me, go back. But next time, maybe walk through the door. Just
Yep.
understanding the value and the power of one step
Yep.
towards that. So
Yep.
yeah.
And before, interesting that you say the steps. Um, before I sort of like ended my marriage,
Hmm.
I remember seeing a quote that I believe it was Martin Luther King Jr. that said,
Hmm.
"Faith is taking the first step without seeing the entire staircase."
Yeah.
And I think that that is really just so beneficial to me when I want to
Yeah.
know all the hows and all the answers of
Hmm.
how I'm going to get to where I want to be. And that it's not about knowing the entire path there. It's just,
Hmm.
like you said, about taking the first step towards it.
Yeah. And I think that kind of, for me, the reason for that would be just the safety of knowing. That's such a safe place, to know. I think about myself with flying and driving in a car. Like there's safety in both all four of them wheels being on the ground compared to
Mm-hmm.
me flying, even though flying is probably safer, overall.
Statistically.
But yeah, yeah, but it's like that faith thing and just yeah, it's such a safe thing to have a plan and have things planned out. Uh, so it can be very difficult sometimes to
Yeah.
take the first step if you don't know everything. And that kind of goes with the entire conversation, with vulnerability and just not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
But you do have to
Yep.
just keep showing up, keep
Yep.
trying.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep doing something.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so very much. If you don't have anything else to share, this was great.
Yeah. This
Uh,
was great.
yes. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks everybody for checking out the show. Until next time, peace.